Hello, this is Sheshachalam from Astrogate Mysore. Today I'll be discussing about Ketu and its position in the third house. We all know the third house has very important significations, that is namely Bhratrasthana, because it is the house for analyzing siblings and their relationship with the native, house of communication, house of activity, house of short travels, house of motivation, house of valor and courage, many things. It is also the house which indicates whether you are going to have a happy married life. It's also one of the houses. Why? Because the third house is the ninth from the seventh house. So if I take the seventh house, I count 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2 and 3. So that means it is the Bhagyasthana for Kalatrasthana, or it's the house of Bhagya. Bhagya means luck or fortune or happiness, luck, whatever you call it. It is that house for the seventh house. So it's a very important house. One thing we should understand here is that we always feel that if malefic is placed in the third house, fantastic things will happen. Third, 6th and 11th malefics, if they are there, it's good. I don't understand why people consider Ketu a malefic, Rahu a malefic. I don't consider any planet as a malefic entirely or a benefic entirely. Why? Because every planet has its own beautiful karakatvas. Like for example, Ketu has one of the most perfect karakatva, which is moksha karaka. So moksha, salvation, who gives importance to it nowadays? Self-realization itself, nobody gives importance. Forget about salvation. Salvation is very far away from self-realization. Self-realization is that to understand that I am one among all of us and I should treat everybody as equal as I treat myself. That itself is a very far away thing to do. So before that, a person has to become spiritual. Think about Vasudeva Kutumbakam, like having me in the family of all living beings. I am also one among them. So this is Vasudeva Kutumbakam. I cannot ignore the other living lives around me, the plant, the insect. So this level a person can go and reach if Ketu is strongly posited in the 12th, in the third house, and so on. So please do not unnecessarily get into the myth or that particular type of following where you feel that Ketu means malefic. Don't go into that level. It is not a good sign for many people. So I keep getting questions like, my Ketu is here, my Rahu is here, my Saturn is here, sir. What should I do? Whether I'm going to become this, I'm going to become that, I'll fail here, I'll pass there. These failures and passing the exams or going anywhere will not even have a minute of realization when you are into the path of spirituality after a certain age. Your importance to things, priorities we call, will keep changing. From the birth, your priorities will keep changing, and after some time, when you are holding the stick to walk, your priorities are totally different. So when a person will ask, let us say a 15-year-old is asking, what is spirituality? I would want to go and join a guru. Parents will tell, what nonsense this fellow is talking. This is not the age to talk all this nonsense. You should do it. We'll give you that idea after you are 25. So they'll just drag it. So he'll become 25 and then he'll ask, what about spirituality? But anyway, at that time the hormones will be dancing. So he's not much worried about spirituality at that time. But still, in case a person asks what is spirituality, and then again people will tell you, get married, have children, enjoy life, then spirituality, we'll think about it later. So it keeps dragging, and the day will come when all his organs will have failed and half of his organs are on maintenance. And at that time, he will think about spirituality. Does he have the strength to do it? You have a strong body, you have a strong mind, you have a strong soul, you have a strong resolve. Only then your spirituality will work. If you don't have all these, how can you achieve anything? So, Ketu is the planet which can give the best in the third, in the first, in the second, in every house. It is the only planet which can make you realize your birth. That is why you will get the moksha. All the other planets are all bundling up, you into the sin of samsara, getting into the wheel, churning and churning. They, that's it. What we call in Hindi as chakki piste rehna. So, let us go to the subject of Ketu in the third house. Let me not become too spiritual. Okay, because Ketu, right? I will keep on becoming spiritual in between in all the classes because I have Ketu in the third house. So I am not talking about myself here anyway. I am generalistically speaking. So please, fast and slurred speech. I speak fast. I also have slurred speech. I had difficulties in my communication. I was always having fear in communication. So I'm not talking about myself. I'll stop it here. So I'll just go generalistically towards Ketu in the third house. Fast and slurred speech. If the second house is badly posited, if the second lord is badly posited, if the second sign is badly posited, if it is a Chararashi along with a fast moving planet which is malefically disposed, then the speech will be abrupt, will be disrupted. There will be stammering, stuttering, and the native becomes blank because there is no flow of thought. He will be, people will talk like this. Today, we are talking about, so this is nothing but they are trying to recollect what to tell next. So everybody has one or the other problems. There are very less people who can talk fluently without disruption. So those are people gifted with the second and the third houses. So anyway, so they will have shoulder problem. They will have problem in this particular region, the vertebrae in the neck, which we know as spondylosis. Cervical spondylosis is the one which happens near the cervix, and here it happens near the neck. That spondylosis will give you the pain which will start going slowly radiated towards your arm and then to your fingers, and you will feel the pain even when you make a fist. So that pain is extremely excruciating pain. So this is also seen with Ketu in the third house. All this is for Ketu in the third house. Good or bad, we will talk about it later, but these are the generalistic problems. Shoulder problems, thyroid dysfunction, because once again thyroid is in the neck. Less or no siblings. Less or no. I'm not telling that Ketu in the third house, that means that there are no siblings at all. Less or no siblings, and also many times it happens that a person will have to live far away from his siblings. Maybe he's two brothers living in India and the third one is in US. So it's something like that. So traveling to foreign land, foreign food, foreign language, and foreign people. It keeps happening. These people love to mingle with foreign, all those which is the foreign tongue. It's very easy for them. They get adapted very fast, very skillful, and very fast they can adapt. So loss of associates or friends due to controversial speech. Very important to understand this particular point, because when Ketu starts an argument, friends are there, and we sit with friends, we keep discussing points, and points will start getting into arguments. So there are very different things. Like Mars in the third house, a person will have logic in his argument. If he has a weak Ketu in the third house, the person will be illogical in his argument, or he will be talking something else. the other person will be talking something else, and they both are sitting and talking the same subject. Just imagine the third party, the audience, if they are watching this, they'll go mad. So the point is that Ketu is somewhere very high sometimes if it is strong. If it is weak, Ketu is disoriented, gone out of the discussion. So I usually write paragraphs for this so that it is easy for me to remember. A discussion ends in an argument because one tries to prove the other wrong or false rather than trying to prove his or her own point right. This is what is a weak Ketu in the third house. A strong Ketu will never argue. The strong Ketu will never argue. A strong Ketu will always be like, boss, you're right. I'm happy with whatever you're telling. Yeah, you're right. So he knows that whether he accepts your point or rejects your point is immaterial. It's not going to be of any consequence. So why unnecessarily spoil the time? And okay, you're right, boss, you're right. So if it is weak, for every single point they will be argumentative, continuously argumentative. That is why the third house, if it is weak in a native's chart, his married life will get spoiled because he will never stop an argument. He will keep continuously digging and digging and digging. Even the spouse becomes silent the next day or the next day after that, he'll continuously keep it in the mind until the whole thing is like he comes to a winning point. He gets more points and he wins the race. Until then, he will be like, pondering into the same subject like a pesky gnat. He will keep digging it. That day you had told something, I don't understand that. This is how it is. You were wrong. Sarcastic, critically, pessimistically. The God bless. Because I keep telling people with Ketu weak in the third house, please stop talking. Please stop arguing. Your argument is not required because it is spoiling a married life. You are going to spoil your own married life. So what should a person do? Silence. Practice silence. Best way to, best remedy for a illogically weakly placed Ketu in the third house. So what is a weak Ketu with malefics in the third house or debilitated in the third house, like sitting in Mithun Rashi? It gets debilitated in the third house. So if it is the third house, okay, a normal Ketu in the third house makes a person timid, calm, peace loving. He loves tranquility. He loves silence. I love silence. It's a normal Ketu. Mine is not a strong Ketu, but it's a normal Ketu. I love silence. I don't like too many people around me, and I keep into my own self. I do my research. I'm fine with that. So they are fearful of conflicts. They don't like conflicts. So they will start digging their own small garden, and in the mind I'm trying to cultivate it and trying to tell you that they are happy in their own garden. The garden is the thought of their own imagination and their own story. They are very happy and peaceful there. They don't like anybody to come in there and unnecessarily spoil it. They are loners, very happy living loners. But still, they will have a motivated spirit to do something. Always anxious about the future. If it is a weak Ketu, they are always anxious about the future. Always anxious. Palpitation will be there. It will continuously keep telling something is wrong. So, insecurity is a problem because it is the second from the second. So 1, 2 and 2 and 3. So it is second from the second, and it becomes Dhanat Dhanasthana. That is second from the second. Dhanasthana from the Dhanasthana. So they always have insecurity with regard to their earnings. How much ever they earn, they'll spend most of it. So they will have allotted This is for this, this is for this, this is for this, and all the boxes are finished, and they are now empty handed. Again, they feel that, oh my god, I have to do some more. So they keep earning if it is weak. If it is strong, they are not bothered about their earnings. They are the people who can leave the key at that particular point and then simply walk away. Okay, so highly skilled in art, they can be very good sculptors, surgeons, artists, designers, dentists, people who can do carving, people who can do painting, people who can do many things else. Even mechanics, the hands, the dexterity. If Ketu is strong in the third house, both the hands will be very, very dexterous. These hands, fingers, and the movements will be very good. So you need to have minute accuracy when you are doing carving, when you are doing miniature painting, when you are doing surgeons need excellent accuracy. Even people who are watchmakers, people who are who will have to put the lens and go deep into it to start doing it. So these people need extreme precision. So precision, the work, this is the word actually, I did not get the word and I was beating around the bush all these minutes. Precision, they work with precision. Then this is the headline for Ketu, because they are extremely accurate. Good strong Ketu in the third house, they are very accurate with whatever they do. So a strong Ketu also makes them witty, very witty, but unemotionally witty. They will not show their wit. You go and ask them, how did you do this? They will tell you. They will have, what we call in Hindi as jugad. Every small thing, they will have a small knack of doing it in a different way, in a special way. They have it. And if they are weak, usually they try to do it and they fail, and they tell that it cannot be done, man, it's a waste of time. So they leave it. But a strong Ketu is persistent. They will keep doing it until they achieve it. So they are generous in giving. They are very good in giving donations. They will not even think twice before giving it. Ketu is the hand and third house is the right hand. You give from the right hand. So dana, dharma. So they do it. So honest in the speech, very blunt, sharp speech. Blunt in the sense that their words will be very blunt and rude sometimes. A very strong Ketu will be a little rude. They will not, have the bias. They will not even see the age. They'll talk the same with everybody. Every living being is the same thing for them. Even they'll love the dog as happily as they love the cat, and they love their children, they love their parents. Everything is the same. For them, there is no, difference between one life and another life. For them, a life is life. So that's the level of thinking a strong Ketu can have when it is in the third house. I have told you that they don't get attached to property. They do not get attached to materialistic living. But still, Ketu, a strong Ketu in the third house, is blessed with good food. He is blessed with tasty food. Nourishment and taste can both be relished by the person who is having Ketu in the third house, and if it is strong. The other way around, if Ketu is weak in the third house, they will be deprived of good nourishment and good food, and that might be a cause of many difficulties and ailments in their future life. So these people can start suffering from osteoporosis and so on, frozen shoulders, frozen elbows, so many things. So hope I have covered a considerable subject on Ketu in the third house. This is a very big subject. Ketu in the third house is it's a good placement. It's an excellent placement for further refinement of skills, going into precision, going into perfection, and these people are required in the society to do their work perfect. So thank you very much for today's class.